Hi everyone, welcome to another YouTube tutorial, and today we're looking at how to use the pipe operator, the percentage greater than percentage sign, which is one of the operators in R, special operators in R in code. We want to see how we can use it to make our code look cleaner and more readable instead of nesting functions inside other function. For example, we'll be looking at how to turn this complex code into something simple as this that is more readable and is better understood. So great. In order to do so, we'll be using the data set called empty cars. And how do we find data sets? So this is a default data set in R that are made available. So there are numerous data sets in R, and one of them is the empty cars data set. And this is a data set we'll be using for this particular tutorial. We can see it here. Empty cars. It's basically motor trend car road test. So it's talking about cars and cylinder. But let's view the data set to see what it's all about. In order to view that data set, you run the function view. Take note of my V is in capital letter, right? So view. Of course, I've had to run my library deployer and then view. Then I put my empty cars. Great, and then I will run. So if I run this, it shows me the data set, all that's embedded in it. So you can see names of cars, and then we can see miles per gallon, cylinder, displacement, horsepower. We can see a lot of things about cars, gear, automatic, and all of that. So we want to see how to run basic operations in R using this data set. And one of the things we want to do is we want to calculate the average of miles per gallon of 4-cylinder cars. So we can see that there are cylinder here, then there are 4 cars with 4 cylinders. So we want to see the average miles per gallon for these cars that use 4 cylinders. If we were to do this using the nested style, embedding function inside other function without a pipe operator, this is how our code will look like. So we said we wanted to do what first? We wanted to run to find the average. So in order to find the average, we will start from something quite odd. So we'll do round, right? And then we want average is also known as mean. So we want to find the mean, right, of empty cars, right? And then we set into empty cars again, then use a dollar sign to find the column that we want, which is cylinder, and then we ask a question, which particular value in that column are we looking for? We're looking for 4, cars with just 4 cylinders, comma, and then for comparing it with our what, miles per gallon. Great. And then we're done for that line for the mean, and then we close our brackets. Great. So if I run this, give me 27, right? 27. Let's go back to our, so this is it. So in this particular nested function, we are only reading this inside out, and it's quite not very clear. But if I'm to run this same code, if I'm to calculate this same average using the pipe operator, it will look simple as our data set empty cars. We pipe it into filter, filtering just for the cylinder column where the, the number of cylinder is 4, for example, like this. And then we still pipe it again into pull. So we're pulling which of the column again? We're pulling mpg, which is miles per gallon, and then lastly we pipe it into what? Into mean, like this. So we can see this particular flow tells a story that first what we have here is our data set. The next thing is that we're filtering from our data set the cylinder column that has the number 4. those particular cars, and then we're also pulling the miles per gallon column as well, and then finding the mean using these two distinct values from each column, miles per gallon and then the cylinder, which is 4. When we run this, we get 26.22. Great. Amazing, right? So we can see that we have done the same thing, but this pipe operator makes our code look cleaner and more readable. It flows like a story compared to this, which we have, which is being read inside out. But for the pipe operator, everything flows from the left to the right. So what the pipe operator does is like it brings what is on the left into the function bracket that is on the right. So think of the pipe operator as something saying, and then do this. So let's read this way: empty cast, and then filter, and then pull, and then find a mean. So that's how the pipe operator works. It brings what's on the left hand side and makes it the the object, the function object of what's on the right hand side, and it flows like a story, and you're able to read and see what's happening. So although this might give the same result, but we can see that the one with the pipe operator is more readable, and that's why we encourage people to use the pipe operator, because it makes your code cleaner and more readable. What's the essence of a code if it's not readable? So use the pipe operator as often as you can. There are places where you actually nest a function inside of another function. That's okay. But using a pipe operator makes it less complex and less ambiguous. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. It's going to help us to reach out to other people, other R enthusiasts all over the world. Thank you so much for staying tuned. See you next.